everyone, this is Redberryweo here, and welcome back to another Civil Air Patrol video. In today's video, we are talking through the Achievement 2 drill test. And this video is updated as of September 2024, so that's for the new standards that Civil Air Patrol came out with their new pamphlet 60-34. So I will link in the description the updated tests. If you are curious and you want to take a look, they are available for you to look at. So please feel free to use that as a resource, and it's also got other great things on that page if you'd like to take a look. So jumping into the test here, we're just going to talk through each of these commands, so the different requirements, and go from there. In terms of the numbers of people that you'll need to conduct this test, it says 6 cadets. So that would be 6 cadets in the flight, including the one that's receiving the test. 1 cadet who is going to be leading the flight, like helping proctor the test and administer it by calling the commands. And then you've got a testing officer to observe and grade. Let's say your unit does not have enough cadets available to do the test. I would say prioritize having 2 elements. So if you have 4, worst case, you could do it with 4. They really strongly recommend having 6 total cadets so that you've got a full flight. All right, so worst case, if you need to do it with 4, you can do it with 4, but really that's the minimum that you should have for an Achievement 2 test. You do need a 73% in order to pass, so that would be 11 out of 15 commands. So we've got fall in, that's the first thing that's not graded. Right face, and that's moving the formation from line formation into column formation. So a lot of the maneuvers in this test are done at column formation, meaning that the element leaders are the first people in the front of the formation, and then you've got everyone else behind them. The first graded maneuver is going to be forward march, and it's called forward harch, and it's called at 100 to 120 beats per minute, just so you know. And you are stepping off with the left foot. Just make sure that when you're doing it, you wait until they say forward, harch, and you go in your mind, say, and step. Because I know cadets are like super eager to march, and sometimes they step off too early, and so then they are not in time with the commands that are being called subsequently. So, forward, harch, and step. So that is generally what the timing should be. I'll do it one more time. So forward, harch, and step with the left foot. This is my left hand, so, and step. Okay? So steps are going to be 24 inches. Hopefully, if someone is leading the flight, they are calling cadence, going hut, toop, threep, forp. Hut, toop, threep, forp. Right? And so you're in step. This is called quick time. Then they're going to call double time. So it'll be called like double time, harch, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And double time is literally doubling how quickly your steps were going. You should be able to maintain being in step while in double time. So I'll just demonstrate one more time. So let's say we're going hut, 2, 3, 4, hut, 2, 3, 4. Double time, harch, and step, 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 hut, 2, 3, 4, hut, 2, 3, 4. So you can kind of see how it works. Then, when we move back to quick time, so it'll be like quick time, harch, and you do 2 more steps, and then you go back to the half of the time at quick time. One other thing that I'll just call out for double time, it's basically running. So you are allowed to do like arm swings like this. You're not going to do like awkward arm swings like this. You can do normal arm swings. And then when you go back to quick time, you're going to resume normal arm swing. So we didn't talk a lot about what the expectations are for forward march, because in the test itself, it doesn't talk about step sizes. It doesn't talk about arm swing lengths. But I'm just going to talk about that briefly so that we're all on the same page here. When you are doing steps, your feet should be 24 inches apart, heel to heel. So that's measured heel to heel. heel to heel. When you're swinging your arms, it should be a natural arm swing. You're not going to have like super stiff elbows. It should be natural. So there can be a slight bend to your elbow, but you're basically doing 6 inches to the front and then 3 inches to the back. If there was like an invisible line where the seam of your pants is. Okay, so 6 inches to the front, 3 inches to the back, and 24-inch steps. Okay, that's not on the test itself, but for your situational awareness, that is the general expectation. Then we've got flight halt. So flight, halt. And so it's called like flight, halt, 1, 2. So I'll demonstrate again. Let's say we're marching. Flight, halt, 1, 2. Okay, so just internalize that timing of how that sounds. It's just making sure that you are not anticipating and just immediately stopping, but you're taking that one extra 24-inch step. And then you bring your heels together and they're at that 45-degree angle, standing back at attention. If you ever need to review any of the stationary movements, I did create the Achievement 1 video and it is posted as of posting this video. So please feel free to review that as needed to make sure that you're comfortable with the stationary commands if you're not comfortable with them going into this video. Next one is going to be open ranks march, called open ranks march. And I'm going to say this before talking in depth about it. There are 2 different ways that it can be done. I am going to talk about the standards here in the drill test and give a little bit of background too. In the DAF PAM 34-1203, which is the drill and ceremonies pamphlet for the United States Air Force as of September 2022, they say drill for 4 elements. They don't have anything that provides any guidance on anything less than 4. In this test, it's talking about 2 elements. So, there are 2 different ways that units have done it. I know with my unit, because we have space restrictions, we do it based off of the number of people behind you. So let's say you've got 2 elements. Then the second element is stationary, and then the first element takes 1 step forward and everyone does their automatic dress right dress. However, in the test, as of recording this video, September 2024, they are requiring that the first element is going to do 3 steps forward and the second one is going to do 2 steps forward. That's because DAF PAM 34-1203 says that the first element is going to do 3 steps, the second element is going to do 2 steps, the third element is going to do 1 step, and then the fourth element stands fast. That's the reason why they have that in the CAPP pamphlet 60-34. Okay? So I even asked National. I was like, which way is the correct way? And the awesome person who's in charge of drill said, both of them are technically right. There isn't a wrong one, but the Air Force's guidance says this is what you do for each element. And so when they updated the test here, they say first element's always going to do 3, second element's always going to do 2. So this is where I say, depending on what your unit does, will kind of determine what you should do. My strong recommendation is that units just adhere to what CAPP pamphlet 60-34 is expecting and just teach it where the first element's going to do 3 steps and the second element's going to do 2 steps. Because that's what the updated guidance is, and I think everyone should just do that. I was always taught do it based off of the number of people behind you. And if you're space restricted, up to you. But before you take your test, please make sure that your unit is on the same page of how it is executing open ranks and close ranks. Okay, that's a big one. Because when I last posted my drill and ceremonies, like, here's how you do Achievement 2 drill test, I got a couple of comments from people saying you're teaching it wrong, and I wasn't teaching it wrong. It's just Ah! I wasn't teaching it wrong necessarily. It's just that there are two different ways to do it. And the Air Force just doesn't provide specific guidance on less than 4 element drill. That is all. So I know I talked a lot about it, but I'm emphasizing it a lot in this video because it is important that you are on the same page as the rest of your unit when you are doing this command, and that like half the squadron isn't doing one thing and half the squadron is doing another. Just be on the same page and have that cohesiveness. My recommendation, do what CAPP pamphlet 60-34 is saying, and just do the 3 steps for the first element, 2 steps for the second element, and then the automatic dress right dress. Okay, so to just continue with it, open ranks march is so that your unit is going to be ready for an inspection, and so you are creating enough spacing for people to be able to walk through and see each of the elements. So as I was saying, you're gonna do 3 steps if you're the first element, 2 steps if you're the second element, and then execute an automatic dress right dress, which I had discussed in the last video. Ready front, you're just gonna snap back to attention, and if you had your head 45, you're gonna bring it back to the front, and if you did not, then you're just dropping your arm. For close ranks, it's called close ranks harch, and the second element is going to take 1 step forward, but the first element is going to be stationary. If you are a flight sergeant or a flight commander like leading this command, then before you put them at ready front, you're actually going to check alignment and then return to your position at the front and then call ready front. Then you can do close ranks after you've been inspected. So right step march is the next thing. So it's just taking steps to the right. It's 12 inches. So it's 12 inches between the heels, and you are stepping off with the right foot. So you go 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches. If you are calling the command, it'll be like right steps, harch, and step, step, step. And in order to halt it, you want to make sure the heels are together. So you'll say flight, halt, 1, 2. Then we've got a couple more marching maneuvers. I'm going to use my clipboard here to demonstrate. So we're doing a right face. So we're back into column formation. So let's say we're like this and we're facing that way. If we are doing a right flank, then we're going to go this direction. If we're going to go left flank, then we're going to go that direction. So let's say we're marching forward and then we do right flank, harch, and step. And then everyone is immediately going in that direction. So some people occasionally confuse it with column maneuvers. And I'll just demonstrate what a column would look like. Column right, harch, and step. And then everyone's doing this, and then everyone goes into half steps. Okay, so flanks is like this versus columns where you're maintaining the same order of like how everyone is positioned. Right? Column, flank. So we've got right flank, so it's called on the right foot because you are going to the right, and you are going to pivot 90 degrees, and you're going to maintain your spacing, your dress, and your cover, and just continue with normal 24-inch steps as you march. Then you've got the left flank, so you're going to the left direction. So we've got our flight again. So we just did this. So if we're doing left flank, then we're just going back like this. So we're going like this, and then we go like this. So it would be like left flank, harch. So it should honestly look like that if it were an overhead view of your flight. Just as a reminder, if you are going to the left, then the command's going to be called on the left foot. If you're going to the right, it's going to be called on the right foot. Count cadence count is called count cadence count, and then you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it should be like in step with you doing it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just keep marching. So then we've got to the rear harch. So it'll be called to the rear harch. You take a half step, you pivot, and then you take a half step, and then you go back into full 24-inch steps. So it'll be to the rear, harch, half step, pivot, half step, and then full steps again. And it is a little bit challenging, but you also need to make sure that you suspend your arm swing, which means you're not like helicoptering your arms and lifting them around. Then you've got flight halt, and it's just called flight halt, and then you do your flight halt 1, 2, and then you're going to fall out, and that's not graded. So that's going to do it for the Achievement 2 drill test. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I will include links to the Drill and Ceremonies website for Civil Air Patrol, so if you've got any questions there, you can also review the materials on that site. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and that is all, folks. Until next time, toodles.